Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi, and master's in counseling psychology. Welcome to the episode on the astrology forecast for January through June 2022. 2022 is a very powerful year astrologically, and in this podcast, I'm going to outline the key dates, including the Mercury Retrograde cycles, the other planetary retrograde cycles, eclipses, and new and full moons, so stay tuned. Welcome to the episode on the astrology of early 2022. I'm going to give the key dates for January through June 2022. And maybe in April, I'll release the astro forecast for the second half of 2022, July through December. It's going to be an amazing year with 4 Mercury retrograde cycles, 2 intense eclipse cycles, and more. Stay tuned until the end of the episode when I share the best time periods for each sun sign. There's a lot of astrological information to unpack in this episode, and I will share the major events and then break down the keynotes of each month in 2022. So I'll share these dates and put it in perspective with the months that these big events occur. And as I was preparing this podcast, I hit the month of April and felt a big overwhelm, which I think means that it will be an intense month. At the end of April is the first eclipse of 2022. I realized then that I needed to make 2 podcasts on the astrology of 2022. This podcast will feature the major planetary retrogrades and the full and new moons for the entire year of 2022. I will also discuss major astrological events during the first 6 months of 2022 in this podcast. So let's start with what everybody wants to know. When is Mercury going retrograde in 2022? So there are 4 Mercury retrograde cycles in 2022, although the last one is only the last few days of the year. But generally, there's usually only 3, and they happen for 3 weeks at a time, and they're usually 3 months apart. So Mercury retrogrades early in 2022 on January 14th through February 3rd, first in the sign Aquarius from January 14th through January 25th, and then it backtracks to Capricorn from January 25th to February 3rd. The second Mercury retrograde cycle is from May 10th through June 2nd, with Mercury retrograded in Gemini from May 10th through the 22nd, then backtracking into Taurus from May 22nd to June 2nd. Check out all those 2s, and this is the 2-2 year. So it goes from 10 to 2 and into Taurus from May 2-2, 5-2-2 till 6-2-2. 2, if you're wondering, is about connection, relationship, also a money number, 2 and 8. So interesting that we're in this 2-2-2 vibration all year long. 2-2-2. The third Mercury retrograde cycle comes in from September 9th through October 2nd, another 2. Retrograding in Libra from September 9th through the 23rd, and retrograding into Virgo from September 23rd through October 2nd. And here's our little bonus retro cycle with Mercury going retrograde from December 29th, 2022 through January 18th, 2023 in the sign Capricorn. Another retrograde planet cycle to be aware of in 2022 is that Venus has been retrograde since December 19th, 2021, and ends its retrograde on January 29th, 2022. Venus only retrogrades every other year. So this has been an intense one because it's been in the sign of Capricorn, and as I had mentioned in my January podcast, that it's creating a bit of a Debbie Downer of energy, especially with the financial markets and cryptocurrency. We have a Mars retrograde from October 30th, 2022 through January 13th, 2023. Jupiter retrogrades from July 28th through November 23rd, 2022, starting in the sign Aries in the retrograde and retrograding back to Pisces. So it will be retrograde in the sign Aries from July 28th through October 28th, and then into Pisces from October 28th into November 23rd. So as I'm going through these retrogrades, if a planet is retrograde in your sign, you should be very aware of it. So Pisces and Aries with the Jupiter retrograding through your sign, Capricorns with the Venus retrograde cycle in your sign, and then the Mercury retrograde cycles are affecting Aquarius and Capricorn, Gemini and Taurus, and Libra and Virgo. So take note of these dates, and if it is happening in your sign, Saturn retrogrades from June 4th through October 22nd, 2-2. So that's 10-2-2-2-2. So from June 4th to October 22nd, and it is in the sign of Aquarius. So Aquarians will be affected by that. Uranus goes direct on January 18th, 2022, as it has been retrograding since August of 2021. And then it will go retrograde again August 24th, 2022, until January 22nd, 2023, in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus, be aware of those dates when it goes retrograde and when it goes direct again. So those dates are January 18th, 2022 is when it will go direct, but then it retrogrades August 24th through January 22nd, 2023. Neptune retrogrades from June 27th to December 3rd in the sign of Pisces. Pisces, you're it. You've got 2 retrogrades in your sign, Jupiter and Neptune this year. Pluto retrogrades from April 29th through October 8th, 2022 in the sign Capricorn. Capricorn, that's your second retrograde cycle of the year. Pay attention. So this is pretty much, I'm just downloading all the dates for you to keep track of. Forewarned is forearmed, as we say, and especially if your sign is going to be affected by these retrograde cycles of the major planets. The other very intense time that everybody needs to be aware of are the eclipse dates in 2022. And please go back and listen to my podcasts that I have done on eclipses. We have 2 eclipse cycles that include both a solar and lunar eclipse this year. In the past, we've had more than 2. Remember that year 2020 when there were 6 eclipses? Unprecedented. No wonder it was such a screwed up year. So listen to the dates of these eclipses and what sign they're occurring in. Well, I'll tell you right now, all the eclipses in 2022 are activating the signs Taurus and Scorpio. So you guys really have to watch your wallets and watch your back. Scorpios and Taurus. So the first eclipse of 2022 is a new moon partial solar eclipse on April 30th, 2022 at 10 degrees Taurus. The sun and moon both in the sign of the bull, affecting the bullish markets. There's a total lunar eclipse, which is a full moon, blood moon, on May 16th, 2022, with the sun in Taurus and moon in Scorpio. So this is a blood moon, and it's also the Wesak moon, which is a Tibetan Buddhist festival every year when the sun is in Taurus and the moon is full in Scorpio. But this year it gets eclipsed. Be interesting. I have some information on this later in the podcast, so listen up. Then as we get into the second season of eclipses in the fall of 2022 here in the Northern Hemisphere, we've got a partial solar eclipse new moon in Scorpio on October 25th, 2022, with the sun and moon in the very beginning of Scorpio. And we close out the eclipse season for 2022 with a total lunar eclipse full moon on November 8th, with the sun in Scorpio and moon in Taurus. So those are the heightened full and new moons of 2022. And now I'm going to go through the lunar calendar dates of all the new and full moons in 2022. And so there's 12 months and there's 12 new moons and there's 12 full moons. So these are 24 dates. So you really want to listen to find out when the new moon is going to be in your sign and when the full moon is going to be in your sign, which is the full moon is usually in the opposite sign. For instance, Capricorns, your full moon will be in the time of the sign Cancer in the summer. Okay, so listen up. Here we go with the lunar calendar. We start the year on January 2nd with a new moon in Capricorn, affecting Capricorns. January 17th is a full moon. Sun is in Capricorn, moon is in the sign Cancer. February 1st, Lunar New Year, new moon in Aquarius. February 15th is a full moon in Leo with the sun in Aquarius. March 2nd, new moon Pisces. March 18th is the full moon in Virgo while the sun is in Pisces. April 1st, April Fools, new moon in Aries. April 16th is a full moon with the moon in Libra and the sun in Aries. Then we hit our solar eclipse, April 30th. It's the second new moon in the month of April, but it's a solar eclipse, the new moon in Taurus, April 30th. May 16th is the full moon with the moon in Scorpio and sun in Taurus, and that is a lunar eclipse. May 30th is the new moon in Gemini. June 14th is a full moon in Sagittarius while the sun is in Gemini. June 29th, new moon in Cancer. July 13th, full moon in Capricorn with the sun in Cancer. July 28th is the new moon in Leo. August 11th, full moon in Aquarius with the sun in Leo. August 27th, new moon in Virgo. September 10th is a full moon in Pisces with the sun in Virgo. September 25th is the new moon in Libra. October 9th is the full moon in Aries with the sun in Libra. Then we hit the eclipses. October 25th, new moon, solar eclipse in Scorpio. November 8th is the full moon lunar eclipse with the moon in Taurus while the sun transits Scorpio. November 23rd is a new moon in Sagittarius. December 7th is a full moon in Gemini while the sun transits Sagittarius. December 23rd, the last lunar event in 2022, December 23rd is the new moon in Capricorn. I'll give more specifics of each of these major events as I give the month-to-month breakdown of the transits and new moons and full moons in the first half of 2022. So here we go. January 2022. I already released a podcast on the astrology of January 2022 and sun sign forecast. So go listen to that for more details of the major events. But here in a nutshell is the astrology of January 2022. January kicks off on 1/2/22 with the new moon in the sign Capricorn. The sun and moon join Venus retrograde and Pluto in the sign of the mountain goat. We're hauling our karmic baggage up the mountain until we decide to release it and make our load lighter. Collective karmas come home to roost in January 2022, and it will be a tough month with 2 retrogrades as we revisit the COVID conundrum and how to move forward this year without rehashing the past mistakes of being restricted by control agendas and fear-based realities. Get the year off to a good start by focusing on the work you need to do to be more productive and make your life better in 2022. Capricorn is the sign of hard work, so do your best to clean the karmic slate and work smarter, not harder this year. Mercury retrogrades in the sign Aquarius from January 14th through the 25th and retrogrades back into Capricorn from January 25th through February 3rd. This is a good time to reevaluate, reassess your plans for 2022, and reboot, regroup, and reinvigorate your body before you launch into a new year. We should all appreciate this time in January to get recharged and not feel pressure to hit the ground running. With the Omicron COVID virus running rampant, it makes sense to retreat and recoup our vital energies before we immerse into a new year of activity. Full moon in January occurs on January 17th with the sun in Capricorn and moon in Cancer. This full moon brings up issues of security and shortages. Capricorn rules business and economic concerns. Tightening the belt economically and physically may be indicated in this coming year. I predict that we will be getting some dire news about the economy around this full moon on January 17th. Certainly, the announcement of the interest rates rising for mortgages, car, and more will be hinted at in January. I have also told the cryptocurrency community that this is a tough time for crypto markets, and I don't see them rallying back until the Aquarian new moon on February 1st. Uranus goes direct in Taurus on January 18th, which will charge up the economic situation, but it may start the upward cycle for crypto markets, which will start slowly coming back. January culminates with Venus going direct on January 29th after being retrograde since December 19th, 2021. We can all sigh a big sigh of relief as January ends. Don't worry about your financial situation during January. Business can be slow and people will feel sluggish. It may be dark and dreary on many fronts. Venus retrograde requires us to be patient with initiating new activities, plans, and prosperity in 2022. This gives us additional time to release and integrate our lessons from 2021. Use this Venus retrograde cycle to clear karmic baggage you have been carrying, especially if you didn't release it in 2020 and 2021. Get ready for February when we get the green light to move forward and really celebrate the new year 2022. February kicks off with fireworks on Lunar New Year, February 1st, with the sun and moon in forward-thinking sign Aquarius. Yeehaw, here we go, giddy up. Remember, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the great awakener, with the symbolism of lightning. So things will start happening very fast. Sudden shifts, surprises, and shocks, all part and parcel of Aquarian energies. The pace really picks up when Mercury goes direct on February 3rd. New moon in Aquarius occurs on February 1st, with sun and moon in the sign of the visionary. This initiates a good cycle for Aquarians and other air signs, Gemini and Libra. I predict the cryptocurrency markets will begin an upward trajectory. In 2021, the Lunar New Year, which hit on February 11th, 2021, sparked a rise in the crypto markets. Lunar New Year of the Water Tiger begins on February 1st, 2022, and goes until January 21st, 2023, according to Chinese astrology. A water tiger year will be more unpredictable, people will be emotional and erratic, and changes can happen suddenly. There will be many water-related crises this lunar year, including flooding, inundation, and hurricanes. People born in a year of the tiger are predicted to be brave, competitive, unpredictable, and confident. Previous years of the tiger are 1938, 1950, 1962, 1974, 1986, 1998, and 2010. Our Chinese year corresponds to our Jupiter return year, which occurs every 12 years. So for the most part, those who are experiencing their Chinese year also will have Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter in Pisces is a water sign, so this corresponds to 2022 being a water tiger year. Emotions will be on the surface, and everyone will be getting in touch with their feeling nature and perhaps more sensitive. This will be a nice change from the aggression of the past 2 years. February's full moon, known as the snow moon, beams in on February 16th with the moon in Leo and sun in Aquarius. The keynote is the individual's contribution to shifting group consciousness. Freedom at all costs is the February full moon fire cry. New moon on March 2nd signifies a celebration as the sun, moon, and Pisces conjoin with jovial Jupiter. Jupiter opens up the playing field and brings in new opportunities. Things are certainly looking up in early March. It's been 2 years since COVID ravaged the Northeast, and pandemics naturally have a 2-year cycle of virulence. So no matter what the fearmongers want to tell you, the pandemic has run its course. Certainly time to celebrate and give a big hurrah. Neptune is also a big player in the Piscean party at this new moon, fostering our dreams and visions. Mercury and Saturn are conjunct in Aquarius, and Uranus sextiles or throws nice aspects to this new moon, fueling our freedom. This is a very auspicious cycle for Pisceans and other water signs, Cancers and Scorpios. Cryptocurrency will blast off at this new moon for the next month or so. Full moon marches in on March 18th, activating the signs of Pisces and Virgo. Virgo full moon urges to get your house in order before the next wave of accelerations kick in and eclipse patterns flare up in April and May. People will be hyper emotional at this full moon. Work concerns also come to a head, and there may be more quitting jobs or careers where there is no more emotional connection. The Great Resignation Part 2. Work must be in alignment with the heart and soul, or the discrepancy will become uncomfortable. Watch for self-judgment and criticism at this time, and try to foster more self-love. Spring equinox in the northern hemisphere illuminates on March 20th, while the southern hemisphere enters the autumnal equinox. This begins the sign of Aries, and we shift from a preponderance of water energies into fire. Be ready to blast off at the astrological new year on March 20th. Anything we initiate at this equinox has staying power for the remainder of the year. Choose wisely your activities and output. March will be relatively calm compared to April, which will have tumultuous energies, including an eclipse at month's end. The drive and fire initiated at the March 20 equinox gets ignited more and becomes a wildfire at the Aries new moon on April 1st. This April's Fool Day will be full of fun and shenanigans. New moon on April 1st marks the beginning of a new cycle. Get set, get ready, go. Blast off, take action. Exercise, dance, move, shake. Become a mover and shaker. Do something new and different. Become adventurous and enterprising. The new moon in Aries is a good time to commit to personal goals. Take an innovative approach to your life. Take an inventory of yourself, including your hang-ups, self-sabotaging patterns, as well as your positive traits and abilities. Be authentic with yourself and others. On April 4th, Saturn and Mars conjunct in Aquarius, which could create some difficulties. This could be a time when aggression, Mars, is acted out against authority, Saturn. There also could be an international uprising or a revolution against the authorities in power, which requires military intervention, Mars. This could be the looming situation between Russia and Ukraine coming to a head, or a similar military standoff somewhere else in the world. It is a time when there can be an uptick in violence. It can come on fast and furiously and come to resolution quickly as well. On April 12th, Jupiter conjuncts Neptune in Pisces, planting pleasing mystical vibrations and seeking spiritual awakenings. Try to get high naturally under this surreal vibe. If you take a magic mushroom or ayahuasca journey now, you might not come back. Many may leave their bodies at this time, and self-medicating is at a high, literally and figuratively. Be very careful with what you imbibe. Pisces will amplify the result. Full moon in April arrives on April 16th with the sun in Aries and moon in Libra. It brings relationship issues to a head, but is also a very good time for romance and bringing a romantic potential to the next level. Aries represents the self or first house in astrology, and Libra is the other or seventh house. Aries is about self assertion and speaking up for oneself, while Libra is about diplomacy and compromise. Many relationships that were on the brink of dissolution may call it quits around this full moon. Revelations will pop up about relationships, whether marital, partnership, friendships, or romances. Decisive action may be taken to solidify or end relationships. Pluto turns retrograde in Capricorn on April 29th, the day before the solar eclipse in Taurus. It will not be business as usual, and something big is in the offing. This shift of direction tends to bring up some initial confusion and financial fears. I have warned the cryptocurrency community that this signifies a difficult time financially, and it will be affecting the crypto markets in a negative way. Pluto transits retrograde until October 8th, 2022. Economic issues are eclipsed as eclipse season seeps in on April 30th with a new moon in Taurus. This is the second new moon in the month of April, but the first eclipse of 2022. This eclipse is a second in the Taurus Scorpio set that began in November on November 19th, 2021 with a lunar eclipse in Taurus. It's the first solar eclipse in Taurus in this set. Its effects can be felt for up to 6 months after the actual date of the eclipse. In the sign of Taurus, matters related to personal finances, values, ownership, physical and material resources, personal possessions, feelings of worthiness, desire for safety and security, resistance to change, comfort, sensuality, and familiarity will be a strong focus on a personal level. This eclipse is about new beginnings regarding all these matters. Long-term changes are in the works. This eclipse will affect the economic situation in the United States and could trigger the implementation of higher rates for mortgages and loans. The global economy will also be affected. On a personal level, the solar eclipse in Taurus is about strengthening our sense of security. It is a time for reevaluating our relationship with money and possessions and discovering what it truly takes to make us happy and fulfilled. It's also a period for considering new ways of increasing our income or earning power. New and potent energy is with us for taking charge of our personal possessions and finances. We should be concentrating on what it is we can do to increase our feelings of self-worth. Early May is ushered in under the eclipse window, exacerbated by Mercury going retrograde and Jupiter transiting into Aries on May 10th. Leading into the full moon lunar eclipse of May 16th at the Wesak full moon when the sun is in Taurus and the moon in Scorpio. Mercury's second retrograde cycle of 2022 goes from May 10th through June 3rd, beginning in the sign of Gemini and then retrograding back to Taurus from May 22nd until June 3rd. I highly advise against travel during this Mercury retrograde cycle, and if one can avoid it, buying cars or signing leases or signing contracts. Mercury is retrograde in its own sign, Gemini, which will exacerbate every Mercury retrograde symptom, such as delays, cancellations, communication disruptions, and travel complications. This is not a good time to launch new plans or start up new businesses or engage in important decision makings. While Mercury is retrograde, we may be rethinking a previous opinion or idea. In Gemini and Taurus, Mercury retrograde, we're reviewing our projects, personal interests, communication systems, studies, finances, and systems of comfort and security. The total lunar eclipse, blood full moon, occurs on May 16th at 12:14 a.m. with the sun in Taurus and moon in Scorpio on the East Coast. Think back to the lunar eclipse of November 19th, 2021, when the sun was in Scorpio and the moon was full, eclipsed in Taurus. What happened for you in the following weeks and months? This full moon lunar eclipse offers opportunities for a culmination of that cycle and occurs in the money signs of Taurus and Scorpio. So you Taurians and Scorpios are on high alert due to an eclipse occurring in your signs. In astrology, Scorpio and Taurus are money signs. Taurus in our chart indicates our value system and resources, which includes money we make, what we like to spend our money on, and how we cultivate resources to what we value. Scorpio in astrology relates to shared resources, money we receive from others, partners' money, death, transformation, and rebirth. So, with this lunar eclipse activating Taurus and Scorpio, there will be many issues regarding money or lack of money, resources, and the economy. This eclipse precurses economic concerns in 2022, including the end of extreme speculation, such as with the real estate market and other extravagant spending or gambling. Make sure that your finances are in order and do not take any risks in the weeks leading up to this Taurus Scorpio eclipse season. Personal and collective economic issues are up for reassessment. Be careful with shared resources at this time, whether they are with marital or business partners or even family monies. This can be a time of financial loss for some, and the stock markets and cryptocurrency markets may take a plunge during this eclipse season. This full moon lunar eclipse occurs at the Wesak moon, a Buddhist spiritual festival, which occurs every year when the sun is transiting Taurus with the full moon in Scorpio. The spiritual light beaming into the planet at this lunar festival is enhanced and available for spiritual evolution of individuals and humanity. Perhaps focus on this aspect of the full moon instead of worrying about money. Things lighten up when the sun leaves Taurus and the new moon in Gemini arrives on May 30th, just in time for Memorial Day, offering great opportunities for connecting with friends, festivities, and fun. Travel is still dicey as Mercury is retrograde until June 3rd. Mercury goes direct on June 3rd, kicking off a fabulous summer of travel in the Northern Hemisphere. June should be much easier and lighter month than May, now that the Taurus-Scorpio eclipse season has passed, until it comes back to haunt us in October. Make hay while the sun shines and get your groove on. Education, communication, and travels are favored during June. Graduate to the next phase of your life. Full moon flies in on Flag Day, June 14th, with sun in Gemini and moon in Sagittarius. This is a great time for romance, fertility, and relationships. We become aware of what has been lacking or missing in our lives, particularly related to learning, adventure, communicating, sharing, communing, and having fun. This full moon is about communication, positive attunement, and sense of freedom. Something has been percolating and it's time for self-expression and enjoyment. Summer solstice shines in on June 21st in the Northern Hemisphere at 5:14 a.m. in the East Coast of the U.S., officially kicking off a summer of love. We enjoy a newfound freedom after 2 years of COVID cowering. The first half of 2022 is winding down, so focus on the seeds you plant now to come to fruition in the fall. In esoteric teachings, the summer solstice is considered a time to awaken spiritual inspiration and stimulate the development of conscious etheric visions of the inner planes. It's a good time to create more harmony and unity in various areas of life. There is a greater opportunity to work and commune with the nature kingdom and those beings who work with humanity through it. Energies are released that manifest opportunities for confidence, strength, and hope, and allows for greater expansion of intuitive faculties. The new moon in Cancer creeps in on June 28th. The water element flows smoothly, reminding us to relax, release stress, and stop pushing agendas. This new moon in Cancer provides a chill time to take a break, nurture yourself, find comfort in the simple things, and cherish time with your family and loved ones. Trust your intuition and instincts. When we are not experiencing stress, we can let our intuitive senses guide us to the right direction where we can experience life in a more pleasurable and balanced way. And there's the first 6 months of 2022. Stay tuned when I give the best times for each sun sign during 2022. And now, the part of the episode you've all been waiting for. The best times for each sun sign during 2022. Let's start with Aries. So during your own equinox, March 21st through April 19th is fabulous. April 1st is your new moon, so make the most of it and start April with a boom. July 22nd through August 22nd is also a good time for you, especially on the new moon of August 11th. And then November 22nd through December 21st, with the new moon on November 23rd being very good for you, Aries. Taurus, you start the year in a very good cycle, January 2nd through the 19th. And then during your own equinox, you have the time from April 19th through the 27th, right before that solar eclipse in your sign. And then you can enjoy May 18th to the 20th as lucky days. Also, you have a cycle from August 22nd through September 22nd, with August 27th new moon being very good for you, Taurians. Gemini, January 20th to February 18th is a stellar cycle, with February 1st, Lunar New Year, being a great day for you, Geminis. May 20th through June 20th is a good cycle, with your new moon on May 30th being fabulous. September 22nd through October 22nd looks good for Geminis, especially with that new moon on September 25th. Cancer, your lucky cycles are February 18th through March 18th, with March 2nd, the new moon in Pisces, being very nice. You also enjoy your own equinox, June 21st through July 21st, and your new moon on June 28th is key. You get another cycle from October 28th through November 4th, and November 12th through the 22nd. Leo, you can enjoy the Aries equinox of March 20th through April 19th, and that Aries new moon on April 1st is very good for you, Leo. July 22nd to August 22nd, your own equinox is excellent, with your new moon on July 28th being a fun and exciting Leo fiery frolic fest. November 22nd and November 23rd are very good. Well, November 22nd to December 20th is a really good cycle, and that new moon on November 23rd in Sagittarius is excellent for you. Virgo, you get to start the year off right, January 1st to the 18th, with the new moon on January 2nd in an earth sign, kicking it off for you. You also enjoy the time from April 19th through the 23rd. May 11th and 12th, we've got Taurus and Virgo moon. Taurus sun and Virgo moon, nice. May 18th and 19th should be really nice for Virgo as well. And then your own equinox, August 22nd to September 22nd. And celebrate on your new moon, August 27th. Libra, you start the year nice in fellow air sign equinox of Aquarians, January 19th to February 18th. Make sure you celebrate that Lunar New Year on February 1st. It's a good year for you. Then you get to enjoy May 20th through June 21st, especially that new moon in Gemini on May 28th. And then your own equinox, September 22nd to October 22nd, with the Libra new moon on September 25th. Scorpio, you enjoy the time of fellow water sign Pisces from February 18th to March 20th, and that new moon in Pisces on March 2nd should do you well. You also enjoy the Cancerian time of June 21st through July 21st, with the new moon in Cancer on June 28th helping you out. And then avoiding the eclipse cycle in your sign, you've got the time between October 28th and November 3rd, and lucky 11/11 to 11/22, 2022. Should be a nice time for Scorpio. Sagittarius, you enjoy the Aries equinox, March 21st through April 19th, with that Aries new moon on April 1st, giving you a blast of fire. July 22nd through August 22nd is a very good cycle in fellow air sign Leo, with the Leo new moon on July 28th lighting your fire. And then you get the time of November 22nd through December 20th, with your own new moon on November 23rd in time for Thanksgiving. Sagittarius, light some fires during those cycles. Capricorn, we start the year in your cycle of luck. January 1st through the 19th, especially the new moon in Capricorn on January 2nd and the full moon during your sign on January 17th. Good days. You also have a good cycle from April 19th to the 27th and May 18th to the 20th. August 22nd through September 22nd is a very good cycle for Capricorn and fellow Virgos. Equinox with the new moon in Virgo on August 27th helping you out. Aquarius, you kick into your groove January 19th through February 18th, with February 1st, the Lunar New Year, Aquarius new moon, really launching you into your new future. And then the full moon with the sun in Aquarius, moon in Leo on February 16th should also launch some new energies for you, Aquarius. You enjoy the time while the sun transits Gemini from May 20th through June 21st. And that Gemini new moon on May 28th should show you some love. You also thrive during the Libra equinox of 9/22 to 10/22/22. And that new moon in Libra on September 25th will light up your love life. Pisces, you enjoy a great time in early 2022 with Jupiter transiting your sign until May. There's some highlighted times for you, Pisces, including when the sun travels through your sign from February 19th through March 20th, with your new moon on March 2nd. But the whole month of March should be really, really good for you. Actually, it starts February 19th and goes through all of March because there's several planets in Pisces throughout the month of March, and your new moon is March 2nd. And then you get some fun times again during the Cancerian equinox, June 21st to July 22nd, and that new moon in Cancer should show you some love on May 28th. And then you end up with a very stellar cycle, Pisces, with Jupiter back in your sign, and fellow Scorpio equinox shows you some love October 28th through November 22nd. I hope you enjoyed this episode on the astrology of January through June 2022. Make sure you record all these important dates and subscribe to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. Download the episodes and share and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine signing out, sending you healing astro vibes through the quantum field. Da.